You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
Yes, indeed. It's a Friday. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good Friday. TGIFing it over here as we, we carry the load. You think Charlie caught some fish? On the boat?
I'm going to take the under.
Well, what are you going to put it at?
He probably watched some people catch some fish. I don't know that he caught any fish. He might caught some fish sticks.
So let's put the over under and a half.
Under.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Charlie.
I mean, they've got guides that they set the hook for them, the whole thing. I mean, it's just all you got to do is reel it in, huh? Zippo.
Maybe I'm not giving him any credit.
Wow.
But
Not even a rooster fish?
Does it count if you're, drinking the whole time and then you, get a reel on the end? Like, somebody else catches it and you help them reel
that's
in?
what's happening, Max. Yes,
Yeah.
It counts. Yes. I mean, no, Charlie is not – he is not baiting his own hook.
But how long does he have to reel for it to count as his, Like, you can't just reel it in for 5 minutes and then, if it's like a blue
I think
marlin,
5 minutes is all we can –
That's what I'm worried about.
I think 5 minutes is more than ample
so we're counting
to
that?
validate. Yeah,
Well,
yes,
right.
yes.
Then he caught one.
I
believe
mean,
in you,
we're
Charlie.
talking about. Holding the net is not.
Well, that's what you have to set some standards. At some point.
Yeah, there are parameters because all right. How much will he have a picture of a big fish?
Yes.
He will.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he'll send us one.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. All right. So we were over at Walk-Ons yesterday, and we're getting off in Sports Center. It's kind of explain what's going on with this Thursday afternoon Sports Center over at the Maravich Assembly Center as they celebrate.
Yeah, Sports Center doing some on-campus editions midday. So they had one of their anchors here.
Well, I mean,
live.
And who they start with? They start with Livy Dunn.
Livy Dunn I think that was pre-recorded, but a little gymnastics.
Hottest thing going. I mean, there you go. Let's go. Where's gymnastics? There you go. I mean, everybody likes Livy Dunn. You can't get enough Livy Dunn. So, and I'm a Livy Dunn fan. I'll admit it. Let's go. I can't blame them for that. So who do they get out of the Livy Dunn piece? The anchor does a little gymnastics. She tumbles into the little Toys R Us thing or whatever that thing is. What is that thing they have at the gymnastics thing with all the
like a
they
little
fall into the
foam pit?
It's like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of deal or something. I don't know. But anyway, they she did all that, and then they come back. Who do they have next?
Flauget and Nisa Moro.
Is it Flauget or Flauget?
Flauget. I've had to correct myself.
Oh, really?
Flauget.
Because camouflage is to like Flauget?
I guess so. I'm sorry. I butchered that.
What's her daddy's name? What's his handle? Camouflage, right? It's not camouflage,
that's true.
right?
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about that.
But it's a name. You can pronounce it. Now, I'm asking you, Max. Come on, Max.
Flauget.
Okay. Camouflage.
Okay. I didn't put
Baton
two and two
Rouge,
together. But yes, sure.
So, yeah. So you said the women's sports. I mean, did they do the women's soccer team while they're here? Or did they do the softball team? Is that Tarina? Was she next?
They had the number one.
We're Title IX you, baby.
Number one team in the country was there the night before. Maybe if they upset them, they would have talked about that a little bit, but they did not. So
they nobody from the basketball team was.
I did not see Matt McMahon. Did not see Cam Carter, unfortunately.
Did you watch the women's game last night? It was good.
Watched a little bit of it. I unfortunately,
Go ahead, Kenny White, minus a 6. Hello. A big 18-point lead. Boom. Here comes the Sooners. Cut it to 1. My girl from North Lee, boom, knocks down a 3. Steal for a layup, a breakaway. And all we needed was 1 of 2 from the line. Perfect. Cover the number. Go ahead and go, little general.
Yeah, hand in the air. Call me a bad guy. I turned it off when she was up like 15 in the fourth quarter. I thought it was kind of over. Next thing you know, I hear it was really tight down the stretch.
Final score is newsy as it gets. Regulation game. What's the final score? Both teams scored 100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a sport that gets criticized for missed layups and things like that, below the rim action. Just kind of let's calm down. Let's pump the brakes on how excited we get about women's basketball. The sports we like to cheer are things we can't do ourselves, and some people, and a lot of weekend warriors, think they can do what they're doing out on the court. Sometimes. So, but I don't care what size the ball is. 107 to 100.
Yeah, and it was an exciting game. You had
that's
physicality.
Well, they were just knocking down shots, babe.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
107 to 100. So
high quality. Both teams shot over 50% from the floor. LSU shot 46% from beyond the arc. So
46.
It was a very good
Damn.
game. Yeah.
That's a mental note, huh? Oklahoma's not bad. You shoot 46% from three, and you got a 1-point lead with a minute to go. Damn.
Got to work on some
Oklahoma's
things.
top 10.
Yeah, 13.
13. Yeah. So.
Fifth loss for them. It's a tough conference too. I mean, just like the SEC is good in men's basketball, Oklahoma's 4-4 in conference play, and they rank 13th in the country.
Yeah. So last night UCLA continues their way. They destroyed Oregon, so we hit that one. And our earlier outer lock, Penn State, they got destroyed themselves. Ohio State, one of those games you can watch early and say, "Oh, we're in trouble here." No doubt about that. So we got that LSU. And the men's, since SportsCenter didn't cover them, we can cover them, huh?
Sure.
Who we got tomorrow coming in?
Texas coming in. Texas playing a little better right now. Rodney Terry is doing a better job. I think I was concerned that they would be one of those odd teams out, like LSU, like South Carolina in the conference, where you just run into too much, and by the end of the season you're kind of going downhill. You kind of lost your focus, and you're not as determined because the season's kind of you're playing out the season, but. So far, they've done a pretty good job of bouncing back with wins over A&M, and then in the midweek.
Man, they gave Ole Miss all they could handle. Now, It was a wild comeback. I mean, I never gave them a chance to come back in that A&M game. They were down a lot late, and they were kind of chipping away, but as much as 21 right before or after halftime, right around that the midway point. And they got it down to 13. Okay, with maybe 11 minutes to go. And they got it down to 8 with maybe 7 minutes to go. And they got it all the way down, and then they hit that shot, the first lead of the game. How many of those games have we had in the SEC this year where one team doesn't lead the entire game until the final end? It was Texas at home against Texas A&M. We saw Texas A&M do it to Ole Miss on the road. We saw South Carolina, who's 0-8 in the league. They had it done to them by Florida over there. And so we'll see. The big game is at 11 a.m. tomorrow in the SEC. But by the way, in the LSU thing, the LSU time, this is a real good, if you had some excitement about the basketball team, 5 o'clock tip. It's good, man. You can do you got your youth league basketball in the morning or early, and then you easily make it to the game. You could do either or. You can go do a late lunch, or maybe go hunker down at walk-ons and maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, watch a couple of basketball games before you head over to the PMAC. Oh, and you can still do dinner after and whatever. You get out of there at 7 o'clock. It's a great time that's conducive to really some big crowds. The weather's cooperative. I mean, it's not snowing. It's not, 102 degrees. I mean, it's okay. So it would be good if they could get a crowd. But I think we'll see about that. Florida, Tennessee. And Tennessee, man, a lot of our national contributors, including Matt Humans yesterday, I think Tim Murray, a lot of our guys nationally like, man, I'm off at Tennessee. They cannot score. And this is sort of the narrative. It's been the narrative for about 6, 8, 10 years under Barnes, minus the Dalton Connect year last year. And he was their dynamic scorer, and he did everything he could in that loss to Purdue. One, Purdue was a great team. Purdue was clearly the second best team in the country. And because UConn was much the best, Purdue was much the second best. And also the style of officiating really killed Tennessee's chances. Anything you touched, Edie, he put him at the line. I think he went to the line for like 24 free throws or something. And he made a lot of them. It just was, if it would have been called, they would have ate the whistle a little bit more. Tennessee, I think, would have won. And Tennessee, I think, could have beaten anybody but UConn last year. They may have been the third best team in college basketball last year. So Tennessee, we talked about Zakai Ziegler and how he has just failed to improve with the years that he's been there. He's been there 4 years. He should be making better decisions. When he's a below 30% three-point shooter, he should not be shooting 17 shots when he only makes one of them in the last 2 games against Auburn and Kentucky. And so everybody's now on Florida here. Kind of a buy low spot for Tennessee, Max. Huh? I mean, I don't know. I'm worried about that number. I think Tennessee's overall body of work, they're not that far removed from being number 1 in the country. Not saying that they're the number 1 power rating, but they probably were deserving of that number 1 ranking. Their resume is really good, but they're in a little bit of a struggle. Is it buy low spot or is it poor form? That's $1 million question when you handicap. And but I'll tell you what, I see a lot of publicity on Florida right now, feeling that Tennessee is down. I don't know. I'm feeling a buy low spot.
We're seeing Tennessee minus 3.5.
Is that okay?
So we do have a line on that.
I'll take under 5. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, this is a spot. You mentioned how Tennessee's not good offensively. They're 13th in the conference in field goal percentage. They shoot under 45% from the floor. I mean,
and listen, and that's the number. And what you watch, they've got one guy who can create off the dribble. Z-Man. And that's
your favorite.
I mean, okay, come on, man. I mean, the 5'9" guy, the guy from North Florida, always is Lanier, Chez Lanier, I believe is his name. He's a catch and shoot guy. He's not a guy he's a good catch and shoot guy, but they need to have flow. And Ziegler needs to concentrate on creating for his teammates, penetrate, draw some help from a guy, and then dish it to as he creates some. When the guy helps on you, he creates some space, and then you give it to him. As far as just, hey, here, Lanier, take your man. They don't have those guys. They just don't have those guys. Well, Ziegler needs to worry about creating for his teammates more than creating for himself. After how many games has this guy started? I mean, we're still having this conversation, but that's where we are.
The one thing is, I think, maybe you watched a Saturday big top 10 matchup in Florida and Kentucky. Maybe that's about all you've seen of Florida, and you would think they're a really high-flying offensive team that can't play defense. But that game was well defended. It was just electric scoring. They were very efficient. Those teams are very good at generating looks. So this game will probably be lower scoring than you might expect with the Florida team. Of course, Tennessee's going to drag it down, scoring-wise. But Florida can do that as well. Florida can play a defensive type of game just because they've played in some shootouts. It doesn't mean that's not in their DNA to defend.
We were together down in New Orleans, pre-gaming for the Pelicans game. We went to the taco joint, the taco margarita joint. What's the name of it? Johnny Sanchez. And we were watching Florida State.
Yeah.
Remember? And we had those matinee games. Alabama was playing Purdue. And they had, like, Max, Florida got some guys. They got some guys. And, I mean, if you're going to just, brush off, some of the golden stuff, I mean, he got right at the right time. If he had his team last year, he'd probably be gone by now. But that's the way it goes. But, with the allegations there. But they're good, man.
No, Tennessee is number 1 in both opponent field goal percentage and 3-point field goal percentage. Florida's number 2 in both those stats. Like, they've played in some high-scoring games, but they are defending at a high level this year in conference.
This Tennessee? Tennessee's number 1?
Tennessee's number 1 in the conference.
Florida's number 2?
Florida's number 2 in defense. So they can score, but they can also defend.
That's what I'm saying. They had some length, too.
No doubt.
And, some rim defenders. They got some guys that they have
and they can rebound. They're a good rebound.
100%.
So this is going to be a tough ask for Tennessee. I agree with you. It's a good spot for them, but they could start snowballing here because Florida is absolutely a good matchup for Tennessee.
This is why Tennessee. This is what happened the first time they played. Embarrassed. When you get embarrassed, that'll get you attention. You're easy to coach. Okay, they destroyed. They beat about like 40.
It wasn't
it was as big of a beatdown,
uncompetitive
as you can have. So, a little revenge, a little bit.
But the line's telling you that Florida's the better team, and I would agree with that at this point because that's where Tennessee is. But it is a good spot, and like you said, there's a lot of trends, a lot of angles that would signal the Volunteers.
Yeah, I'll take Tennessee at home at a buy low spot. I'll ask Chris Massaro of that. We'll ask Bruce Marshall. We'll ask Troy Macker. That's a good one. Got another one that catches my attention early in college basketball tomorrow as well. Pitt and West Virginia. We always talk about that beautiful facility at Pitt, the Peterson Event Center. Check it out. Court level suites. I mean, always every basketball suite is up, not the best seats. No, these are court-level suites, beautiful view. It is the state-of-the-art. It has been for 20 years. It is just awesome. It was a blackout game for them, back-and-forth game against North Carolina. They won it. A little bit of a hangover spot going to Winston-Salem, where maybe you're catching points. Wake Forest lost their first game of the season at home Saturday to Duke. Duke might be the number one seed in the tournament when it comes out. The way they're running through the ACC, a weaker ACC, they still covered that 11.5. If they're catching points at home, give me Wake Forest in that one. We're live here at Ruffino's today. Our appetizer features today, the crispy calamari, pork belly, the lobster ravioli. That's right. That's our appetizer features today. The soup and salad features duck and andouille gumbo with color of the roux. One is light, 10 is dark. Where are we at? About an 8. About an 8, yes.
Like
yes, we
there
like
we
dark
go.
roux.
Now we're talking.
There we go. Max and I on the same page there. The burrata salad with the red pesto balsamic caviar, which gives it that, man, you talk about good stuff. There's fresh tomatoes with the burrata cheese, excellent stuff. Sweet basil and some olive oil. Entree features the herb-crusted New Zealand lamb chops with the potato pave and Italian salsa verde. Suggested wine pairing is La Crema Pinot Noir from Sonoma. Fried speckled trout, jumbo lump crab meat on top with the brown butter and steamed asparagus on the side. Suggested wine pairing is the Pejus Chardonnay from Napa. In the oven roasted prime rib, mashed Yukon potatoes au jus. Suggested wine pairing is a Turnbull Cabernet. We are participating in it's just wrapping it up. It's a restaurant week over here at Ruffino's. Wrapping up today and tomorrow. 3 courses for $60. Your choice of the appetizers, the calamari, pork belly, or ravioli, super salad, the duck and andouille gumbo, the burrata salad, or the 3 entrees that I talked about for just $60. That's tonight and through the weekend. Look at that week. Chris Massaro from PB, baby, from San Diego. When we return, get out some of his college basketball picks. He's got a couple tonight and some for the weekend. Live at Ruffino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodaux Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Your home improvement specialist. You say, what do I know about doing home improvements, man? I'm no carpenter. I'm not good at any of that stuff. Well, let the experts at the Thibodaux Store show you how easy it is to save on some of these smaller projects that you can do, that they can walk you through step by step. You won't be wasting time and money. You won't be wasting money on materials you don't need or on procedures that don't work. So let the Thibodaux Store help you out there. Ask their experts to tell you exactly what course to proceed on. Hand tools, power tools, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, and also specialty items at the Thibodaux Store. Tons of grills, including the Big Green Egg cookers, Cypress furniture, lots of fishing equipment, crawfish, and jambalaya pots. The sister property, the Pierre Part Store in Pierre Part, just celebrated their 113th year anniversary. So check them out. And online where delivery is free at ThibodauxStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanny's fishing at Cabo. The over-under is a half. Massaro, who you got? The over or under on Hanny catching a fish in Cabo?
Oh, is he an experienced fisherman? I didn't realize that. I thought you guys just you guys sat by the river and got one of those crawfish or whatever you guys catch down there.
They get those in ponds, but anyway, he's one of the most respected deep south angler around, man. No, he's really tequila and stuff. Anyway, so hey, man, I've got a game in college basketball. It's early start tomorrow, 9 a.m. your time, 11 a.m. our time in Tennessee and Florida, and the narrative is it's something I've heard a lot, and I agree with it as well, and that is And Tennessee, with that offense, I don't know about them really having a shot to win it all. Barnes has never even gotten to a Final Four. He had a Final Four team last year, but he had a dynamic score and connect as well. But here they are after they lose 2 in a row, and now in an embarrassed spot. And Max, I forget, they lost by 40 or 45 or whatever it was down in Gainesville earlier. And here comes Florida Town, Tennessee 3.5. Buy low spot on Tennessee in an emotional angle, or just not enough firepower to compete with the talented Gators? How you see it?
Yeah, that game back about a month ago, I remember I was on Tennessee team total, which obviously did not get there, as they shot 4 for 29 from 3, and 2 of the threes came in the last minute of the game. They were actually they lost by 30, but I think the largest lead was the largest lead was close to 40. I think you're right. So
yeah.
I don't know if, like you said, it looks like the perfect spot. It's revenge. They're at home. But if you look at the last 2 games against top-notch competition, SEC, Zakai Ziegler, 1 for 11 last game versus Kentucky from 3, 0 for 6 from 3 versus Auburn. Chaz Lanier, 3 for 10 versus Kentucky from 3, 2 for 6 versus Auburn the game before that. So the 2 best players are astonishing, 6 for 33 from 3, 18%. And Florida they're a good offensive team, but they're also a solid defensive team. They're one of the top 10 teams in the top 15 defensive teams via KenPom in the country. So I'm just not sure the firepower is there, and I'm not going to jump on Tennessee just because of the spot, because their 2 best players aren't shooting well. So I'm going to just steer clear of this game. I can see everyone saying the angle, and you want to take that home dog in this type of atmosphere off of revenge, but with the 2 best players not shooting too hot, I'm going to pass.
Well, that may be the problem because guys that pay attention, if you think Ziegler is the second best player on the team, I'm not. He's been one that he has not improved one iota. He may have gotten worse. I mean, when you're a below 30% three-point shooter, you shoot it 17 times and you make 1, that's a problem. I mean, quit shooting, dude. I mean, create for your teammates, and quit trying to call the number yourself. But Charlie and I go round and round on Zakai.
Well, that's a problem that's a problem in the league. I don't know if you watched the Illinois game last night. The team could not make a 3-point basket. Every time they went inside, they scored on Nebraska, who is an undersized team. They're dominating the rebounds, but they just refuse to shoot anything but threes. And you got to wonder, like a coach like Brad Underwood, he's supposed to be one of the better coaches in the country.
Yeah.
They don't change the game plan in the mid game. I mean, that's why I love coaches like Pitino. They can come out horrible the first half, second half totally changes the dynamic. They play a different style. You got to go with what's working. And like you said, if you're 1 for 17 the last 2 games, is he going to come out and shoot another 10 versus Florida? And if they do, they're probably not going to win. They're probably going to lose.
Man, we're on the same wave. I'm watching the game last night, and I'm thinking Underwood the same thing. I'm like, I'm losing some respect for how your team's making these decisions right now. It's funny you bring that up, Chris, because that's exactly the same thing I'm thinking. I'm like, this is not a smart team. And they hit a few shots to kind of scramble late and actually had the shot to win it at the end of regulation. But I'm like, man, what is going on? Now, they have their guy, their foreign player, who is out right now, who
that's fine. That's fine. Ivasic, but they've been without him for 3 games. They had the ball with 20 seconds left to win the game. Nebraska had fouls to give. So instead of just driving it to the hole to maybe get up 2 and give Nebraska the ball back with a few seconds, they decide to waste all the time and shoot a corner fadeaway 3 that didn't go in, and then they get blown out in overtime. So I agree with you. I lost some respect for Underwood last night with some of those decisions.
We're on the same page. All right, let's look at tonight and some of your picks that you have zeroed in on, and a good one in the A-10. Dayton 14-7 against St. Louis 13-8. This is 6 o'clock tip on ESPN2, and Larry Nerd has resurfaced, and they're coming off one of their big wins, 78-69 over VCU. Talking about the Billikens from St. Louis. And now they're home again here against Dayton. Dayton had a big lead last Friday night, but got backdoored. You're on who you on in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Flyers here. I mean, this is a team that has wins over UConn, Marquette, UNLV, close losses versus UNC and Iowa State. And it's a little bit of a buy low spot. I mean, last Tuesday night, They got blown out, kind of embarrassed at St. Bonaventure. They only shot 8 for 24 from 3. The Bonnies were just on fire, 12 for 25 from 3, 48%. So I'm thinking a little bit of bounce back, a little bit of embarrassment. Hopefully Anthony Grant can get the Dayton Flyers, one of the top 40 offenses in the country, get it going. And I'm kind of a little bit sell high on St. Louis off their biggest win of the year over VCU, like you mentioned. But I think this is a game where it was more indicative of what VCU did than what St. Louis did. VCU shot 5 for 31 from 3, only 16%. So I think Dayton has the offense to go against the St. Louis defense, which is a little questionable. And I think if you can grab, I saw 2, I saw 1.5. The game fluctuated overnight. They were getting 1.5, went to pick. Then Dayton was the favorite, but then as I woke up this morning, St. Louis is back to the favorite. So you can get any points here or take a small money line. I like Dayton to get the win.
Yeah, Chris, you think about Avila and Josh Schertz bringing in that offense from Indiana State. You'd think they'd be in a high-scoring team. They're 15-4 to the unders this year.
15-4 to the unders.
A little bit offensively.
Wow.
Yeah, Matt, great point. I remember when he came over, I'm like, I'm going to keep an eye on St. Louis this year, but it's not been the team that I expected it to be. That's a great point.
All right, the Battle of Indiana. In one corner, we've got Matt Humans. The other corner, Wes Reynolds. It's Purdue versus Indiana. It's the golf picks versus the curmudgeon. Who you got? 12-point favorites, Purdue at home.
I've been doing a little bit of different strategy this year. I've been looking at teams that I don't think are elite. I know Purdue has some good metrics, but I don't think they're elite, even though they just came off a big blowout win against Michigan. It's the same team that just lost at home to Ohio State. Like, would you really be that surprised if Indiana won this game? I wouldn't. And I think getting 12 points in an in-state rivalry versus a team that tries very, very hard. They just have a very inept coach in Mike Woodson who drives you crazy if you watch the game Sunday when they're up 5 versus Maryland, a very strong Maryland team that's coming on, by the way. And he somehow bungled that last 40 seconds of the game, up 5, and somehow lose in regulation. But they got 4 guys in double digits. Scorers, Balois, Renault, Miles Rice, they have some talent. And I think in an in-state rivalry, even though Purdue has 2 of the best players in the country, Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think Balois should be able to do enough down low as the Purdue big guys aren't what they used to be. Obviously, Zach Edey has moved on. So I think Indiana should be able to hang within the number. And I think it's kind of contrasting styles. I mean, Indiana gives up a lot of threes like they did against Maryland. So I think this could also be a high-scoring game because the way the styles are that Purdue's not that great covering the 2-point basket, and I think Bauer will eat a lot. Well, I also think Braden Smith and Renn will get theirs as well. So I like Indiana to hang within the number in a high-scoring game. I think you can get plus 12 over 146.
Yep. All right, 12 is what we have right now at our local shop at the Queen, a DraftKings outlet. Got another line out on one of your games tomorrow. This one just put out by DraftKings. And Auburn, number 1 team in the country, going to Oxford, 5.5. 5.5 is the number. And the total, let me see, 5.5. Where am I? I'm sorry, 5.5 and 149.5, Chris.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the home team here and possibly the under. Auburn just played LSU the other night, and even though they covered somehow miraculously, Auburn didn't shoot it that well. LSU actually shot it better from 2, shot it better from 3. Somehow, like I said, didn't cover. I thought they could have won the game, but the problem was they had 20 turnovers. Now, Ole Miss doesn't turn the ball over at all. This is going to be a raucous atmosphere, and I feel like Auburn's just taken everyone's best shot. They're eventually going to lose a game. They've been on such a ridiculous run, but I can see them slowing down a little bit. I mean, it's just been such an emotional run, and they've had some tough games over the past 2 weeks. I know Broom's back, but I like Ole Miss. Probably going to play them a little bit on the money line as well. And I tend to think the game's going to go under as you get Auburn, 11th best defense in the country, Ole Miss, 10th best defense. I can see a real tight battle here. Take the points with Ole Miss and lean towards the under.
All right, I'm on it as well. Plus 200 money line available at the Queen right now as well. And finally, up against the clock here, Chris, Kansas and Baylor. We got this line out as well, and it is 1.5. Kansas on the road at Waco, 1.5, 145.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go under the total here. Kansas is a slow-tempo team, 126 in adjusted tempo, and Baylor walks it up the court, 324 in tempo. Kansas is a top-5 defensive team, especially in the second half. And Baylor's weakness is three-point D, but Kansas doesn't shoot the three very well, only 34%, 141st in the country. So I'm going to lean under in this game. It should be kind of a rock fight. I'm not really a fan of either team going that far this year. A lot of weaknesses I see on both squads, although Kansas does have a really solid D. But I'm leaning the under tomorrow in Waco.
And you lean in the under on Charlie at 4.5 crawfish, right? Catching down in Cabo?
Yes,
okay.
under. Well, way under. Over in tequilas, under in crawfish.
Good call.
Good call. Wait. See what the parlay pays on that one. Oh, we got to lay 1,200? Oh, all right. Well, it might still be worth it. Chris, thank you, buddy. Good luck this weekend in your picks. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Talk to you, Jimmy. Talk to you, Max. Bye.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Ashley Donald, Marion Haynes, Andrew Galata, Michael Platter. Great team at Legacy Title. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060. Troy Backer of Bet Rivers letting you know where the early action is. Super Bowl props and others. And he's a big college basketball enthusiast who he likes. Man, we got a great menu tomorrow in college hoops. Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
All right, let's go up to Troy Macker, my man. Troy, have you recovered? You've had, a week now to kind of get over the Redskins, the Commanders, the Washington football team, your team. But the future's bright, huh? Y'all got to be in a loss. You got to be feeling really good, huh?
Yeah. I think that's one of the positives to take out of this is usually when your team loses in the playoffs, it's gut-wrenching. You don't want to leave your home for a week. And, being in the proximity of Baltimore and knowing a lot of Ravens fans, that's how they're feeling because they lost the game because they just blew 4 plays. And how do you fix that? You can't really dive into the draft and be like, we'll just draft offensive linemen and or a cornerback and we'll fix it. Like their issues are far less palatable than why a team that punched so far above its weight class all year and has a very bright future with a lot of cap room. So it took a day also maybe to kick the hangover that I had from that game. But now it's, looking ahead to, what we have in store for next season, looking at free agency, which is huge, and obviously where we're going to draft. So the future is very bright. But at the same time, the last time we had success was with a rookie quarterback who was the second overall pick and a Heisman winner, and his second season was a disaster solely because of injuries and politics. The politics certainly won't play a part with Jaden Daniels because he's the coolest, most laid-back guy ever. But there's still that injury concern, and the second year, can they get over the hump and be better than what C.J. Stroud was? Because there's another comparison that he matched in year one.
Yeah, because Stroud did it with his arm. His rookie year. That sophomore slump was weird. Now, Jaden is more of a runner, but he's we want him to do it with his arm as well. Yeah, those third and fourth. How about 30 for 38? It's when we're talking about when they say ESPN analytics show. Well, ESPN analytics is Derek Carr your quarterback, or is it Jaden Daniels 30 for 38? So that certainly raises your aggression and when you go for it and when you don't. But knowing what we know about him, Max, worried about a sophomore slump with Daniels?
It always is the case just because the expectations are so much higher. So what is a sophomore slump, right? C.J. Stroud
would you say C.J. Stroud was a sophomore slump?
He did have
yes,
one.
Okay.
But, what are the expectations? Are people lumping him in like a top 6'8" quarterback already? Because that's what people did with Stroud, and obviously under-delivered, but he would have probably under-delivered a top 6 or 8 quarterback anyway. There are levels to it. Stroud definitely regressed a little bit.
Going into this season, you remember that, and it was a fair. Who would you rather, Burrow or Stroud? That was kind of. If you do what your quarterbacks, you usually get better with time, and he should have gotten better, but he he took a step back. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think it's going to happen with Daniels, Troy. I really don't. And I think they're going to surround him with just a little bit more explosive weapons, and away we go. I mean, they've got cap space. They've got so they are going to, they're going to protect him. Then they're going to McLaurin he's an A level weapon, but that's it.
Yep.
That's all you got. Eckler back in his day, maybe, but Robinson. I mean, these are serviceable guys, but they're not like McLaurin, like A-list weapon.
And we
type
forget
of guys.
about Mahomes and the Chiefs winning all these Super Bowls as of late. But traditionally, you have won Super Bowls if you have a quarterback on a rookie deal that's really good, and that's what the Commanders have right now.
All right, to your other team, and locally on the hard floor, and you got a great coach. He did so many great things at Providence in year 2, and it looked like Georgetown. Cooley's got a team this year. Now it's kind of hitting a rough spot as of late. Troy, they're playing tonight, 5:30 our time, 6:30 yours. 3.5-point favorites at home against Butler. What's going on with the Hoyas?
Yeah, I think they're a very young team, and they're starting to hit that wall. There's the freshman wall, there's the sophomore slump, and they've really hit that wall. They have one of the best young players in the Big East in Thomas Sorber. He's been banged up the last couple of games. Even though I think they've dropped 5 of their last 6, like the first handful of games in conference play, they won or were very competitive against good teams. I mean, they held big first-half leads against Marquette and against UConn. But they're really just starting to slow down. But even still, this is a market improvement from last year. So you would hope they'd make a huge jump this year. And as long as the bottom doesn't fall out, the expectation is if they, keep punching away and, end up in and around 500 in the Big East, the expectation entering next year with the now sophomore Thomas Sorber, who will be a 20-point, 10-rebound guy, the expectations will be there for Cooley. Maybe he's now a year behind schedule, but still, this is where you wanted to be in years 3 and 4. And in terms of Butler tonight, I don't love betting on the Hoyas. I do like betting on the home team, but they're very inconsistent. But I do like them at -3.5 here tonight, just because I anticipated this line to be maybe -5, and I would have stayed away. But given that it's at -3.5. I think they're going to have the 2 best players on the court. And Butler, just like Georgetown, although they've won 2 of their last 4, those are their only 2 Big East wins. I think going on the road is going to be tough. So I would take Georgetown 3.5 tonight.
Catholic League / the Big East. Got to love it up there. I tell you what, saw 2 teams that were red hot play on Wednesday night. Creighton they just didn't miss. And they won and covered. I like Creighton tomorrow on the road against Villanova as well, playing by far their best basketball of the season. Any other matchups that you've looked at today or tomorrow? Some of the lines trickling out right now at Bet Rivers.
Yeah, for tonight, there's another one. It's really the only major game of note. That's Indiana at Purdue. It's a great rivalry game. Indiana is scuffling. They should be far better than they are in the Big Ten. Purdue, I thought they were going to take a step back this year. With the loss of Zaki Day. I thought Brandon Smith is a good player, but I don't know if he can be the lead dog. I was horribly wrong. He's a All-American candidate. They're ranked 10th in the country. I want to take a side here. Purdue -12.5. I think that might be a little bit too many points. The over 146.5 seems a little low, so I would think maybe take the over there. But Purdue is holding their opponents to at home, so 65 or under. So I'm going to take Purdue over 79.5 team total. Indiana's allowed 79 points in 5 straight games, and they haven't played a team to the caliber as Purdue, and Purdue's playing really, really well. So that's the other one I'm on tonight is Purdue team total over 79.5. And then tomorrow, haven't looked at the lines, have looked at the schedule of games, and it's incredible. Bookends, you start with the top 10 matchup, Florida at Tennessee, and you end the night with Gonzaga at St. Mary's. And it's St. Mary's, who's 9-0 in the conference, and hosting Gonzaga, who's not ranked but still very good. It's going to be an incredible day of college basketball on Saturday.
It is. I mean, Auburn at Ole Miss, man. We just got a lot of really good ones tomorrow. It's early, but early sort of indication of the more popular props for next weekend's Super Bowl.
Yeah, as we do every year, we've taken quite a bit of money on coin toss outcome, heads or tails, or the winner, Chiefs or Eagles, both at minus 103. One that I just noticed this morning that we took a massive bet, a $51,000 wager. It was on for there not to be an octopus, and it's minus 3,335. And if you wonder
wait. What is the octopus again? What is the octopus?
Okay,
Same.
so it's when a player scores a touchdown, and that same player scores the subsequent 2-point conversion. So essentially, the one player scores all 8 points.
Oh,
It's happened.
It's happened. I don't know how often it has. That is essentially 51,000 to win 1,500. And the reason, typically, fun Super Bowl bets, but the last 2 or 3 years, we're just seeing teams go for it far more on
yes.
for a 2-point conversion. And it's the Eagles. They're gonna run it with one of the guys who scored the touchdowns, which is going to be Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts. So I just think there's a little bit more consistency there, even though this is not a bet I would make on either side.
there we go. All right, follow Troy on Twitter or X at Troy Macker. That's MACHIR. Troy, thank you. We'll talk to you on Monday, buddy. Have a good weekend.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends over at United Community Bank. United Community Bank. Running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Contact Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, or Prentice Wilkes to discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Live at lunch, live at Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So we're talking about the octopus when the player scores a touchdown and the 2-point conversion, the same play. It happened last year.
2 years ago.
I'm sorry, 2 years ago, the same matchup,
Right.
Eagles in Kansas City. They were down 35-27. The Eagles score with 5:15 to go on a Jalen Hurts 2-yard touchdown run. Jalen Hurts rushes for a 2-point conversion. So that made it. Looking at the box score, too, Philadelphia led at half by 10 points. The first San Francisco-Kansas City Super Bowl. The second half, San Francisco led by double digits. Last year's Super Bowl, San Francisco led by 7. So 7, 10, or 10. Double digits twice in 7 in the all second half deficits, substantial second half deficits. Note, put them away while you can. I mean, they are clutch, and that's the biggest thing. Yes, a little bit of luck when you win 17, but a lot of clutch, and that's where you see. Doesn't it seem like the Mahomes was a little bit sharper when he needed to be against Buffalo than what he was against Houston, than what he was again for big stretches in the regular season, Max?
They were trending even at the end of the regular season, just coming into the playoffs. But, yes, the playoffs have been different. Mahomes is different in the playoffs. I've mentioned before, he's one of the most efficient runners of all time as a quarterback. He just manages to get first downs with his feet when he never does, during most of the regular season. He's not really a runner. But, he gets it done. One thing about the octopus, as you mentioned, it did happen 2 years ago. It's 12-1 on the odds right now. But 2-point conversions are just way more common now. We saw it last week where if there's an offsides on the extra point, you go for the 2. Yes is only plus 105 to attempt a 2-point conversion. Just plus 105 in the Super Bowl.
I've got some evidence. Charlie and gang in Cabo have found the Luckia race book.
Uh-oh.
We sent him Rob Henny's Gulfstream picks. So there you go.
Not catching fish.
Live at lunch, live at Rufino's, 104.5. Live a week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's go out to Las Vegas and let's go to the Circa Craps tables. Our buddy Bruce Marshall been hunkering down with Donald Trump throwing the bones. Huh, Brucey?
I don't know. They don't let me into Circa anymore, but maybe it's that, well, whatever. But he was down there. You notice Derek made sure to get in the picture. That was, I'm sure Derek loved having him, having Mr.
Well, I
Trump
mean,
there.
he does own the joint. I mean, you
Yes,
know,
sure.
so it was the Brucey, no tax and tips. I don't want to go political, but that has a chance to pass. I mean, maybe a reduction in the tips, on the tax and the tips, but eliminating them? Really? It's a lot of money, huh? You're going to have to find somewhere else.
That was in his platform, so we'll see what he can do. He had a receptive audience when he made that speech on Saturday, I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, no kidding. But, I mean, well, you're going to have to replace a lot of money somewhere. So, I mean,
well, that's right. I'm going to work. I'm going to work as a waiter here next week. So there you go.
Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe a reduction. My money's on a reduction, not on elimination. So that's all. You know, Charlie's fishing in Cabo. He's down at the. Have you heard of the race book, Luckia race book? Have you heard of that?
I have not, but I'm sure.
You've heard of Caliente.
Charlie's there. If there's one there, I'm sure.
You've heard of the Calientes, huh?
Oh,
Are
sure.
they still around?
Caliente, definitely. Oh, yeah. The racetrack isn't, but the Caliente, the casinos and sports books definitely are. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's ones in Cancun and Cozumel, pretty much everywhere I've been in Mexico for 30-something years. So that's always a fun. I'll never forget, boy. That was back in the heyday. You know, we were talking about Dallas now having the longest drought. You know, now Jerry Jones' son, Steven, says it's a so-called, like it's an urban legend that they haven't been to the conference championship the longest now in the NFC. No, that's data. You know, but anyway, he said the so-called drought we're in. But I remember being in the Caliente, and man, and they would get going, and Emmitt Smith, and Amit. Oh, man, they love the Cowboys down in Mexico. Who would you rather be, Saints fan or a Cowboys fan these days? Somebody brought it up because, the Saints have become a compromised organization as well. We know about the Cowboys being a compromised organization.
I would rather be the Saints, Jimmy, and I'll tell you why. I would still trust Mickey Loomis to somehow put that thing together quicker than Jerry could at the level Jerry thinks they can be there. I'm not on board with the Schottenheimer hire. I think this is back to Jerry thinking he's smarter than everybody. And there were some better choices out there for him, I think. But the constant with Dallas in this long drought is Jerry, and they've been competitive, but not. He's overestimated his roster here. It's not been Super Bowl quality for a long time, and it ain't now. And I don't think hiring Schottenheimer is getting him any closer. Saints are far away too, I know, but I would trust the Saints to get back there quicker. Though it ain't going to be a quick fix in New Orleans either.
Max, we've got one. Bruce is he on an island by himself and trusting Mickey Loomis?
This is just
Bruce,
two bad options.
This is very disappointing of you. I mean, we have run out of patience or trust with Mickey Loomis.
I mean, I cover the Browns all the time, and I was thinking even the Browns are in a better position. You know, they've got Deshaun Watson, they've got a nightmare, but at least they have the number 2 overall pick. But the Cowboys, I mean, that's a tough one.
So, and it's I just look at Miss Gale is very, very close to Loomis, close to Lauscher, and I think because of their relationships, I think that I don't know with anybody with Loomis. Keep in mind, Bruce, the Saints have been how long, Max, the worst salary cap situation in the league, and right now, as we currently speak, it's not close to second, Bruce. Well, who's most responsible for that? Well, that would be your general manager. And your general manager, who was a capologist originally, when Randy Mueller, left, they never hired a general manager. They just promoted their capologist in Mickey Loomis. And we know during the Peyton era that Peyton trumped everybody on, personnel decisions and these type of stuff. And then Mickey, now you have it. I just don't know anybody with his track record that would still have a job. in the
I agree.
in the NFL.
I agree with you, but if Jerry would only be, this is just in relation to Jerry in Dallas, and I agree with you. I mean, Lomas has let it slipped with the Saints with him for sure, but I just don't see any way forward with Dallas with Jerry calling all the shots, and that's not going to change as long as he's alive. So it's just a comparison to Dallas. Yeah.
I loved watching the press conference where Schottenheimer just sat there. Jones was going back and forth with the media. It's like, who is this? It's so funny. It is. It is so funny. Hey, what's your thoughts from the games last Sunday?
Wow, I mean, it didn't surprise me that the Chiefs game did. That kind of went the way I thought. I thought it'd be really close, and Chiefs would probably pull it out, and they did. And boy, Buffalo, you just wonder you get this feeling, Josh Allen, and maybe Lamar's got this feeling too. I mean, it sort of reminds you of maybe like Patrick Ewing in the NBA or Barkley or one of the Karl Malone. They just kept bumping into Michael Jordan there, and you just couldn't get over the hump. And maybe for the time being, Mahomes is just that blockade there in front of him, and it just keeps happening year after year there with the Chiefs knocking these teams out in close fashion. So it's got to be really hard to be a Buffalo fan these days, and a Baltimore fan too. The other game, I'll tell you, I really thought until Eckler's fumble there right at the end of the third quarter. Washington was on the march. Jaden had him on the move, and that game was going to be cut to 34-29. And as soon as the pass to Eckler, I thought, just stay down or drop it, because I've seen guys, and you've probably seen it too, Jimmy, and probably Max has too. As soon as you get up from being down, you haven't been touched yet. You're a little vulnerable to get the ball knocked away, and that's exactly what happened. And I was just hoping that he just stayed down and didn't try to get up and fumble it away. That one play can change momentum in a game, and that totally changed everything back to Philly. You just can't play that way against Philadelphia and give them all those turnovers. But I was saying, the Philadelphia calls they were stripping the ball. Good for the Eagles to do that. So I don't want to take anything away from them, because that was part of their plan there. I mean, they stripped it away, and that you win games when you do that. But that score line was very deceiving, because I still think they're on the march there. They go in 34-29, and that is a different game. That's a lot of what ifs, but I think that score line at 55-23 more than a bit deceiving on Sunday.
Well, not terribly what ifs, because they didn't turn the ball over in the first two playoff games. They turned it over 4 times there. So yes, part were the Eagles. The Eagles have a better defense in Tampa Bay, in the lines for sure, but still some of them were deuce. And when you try and get up, your ball security is compromised. We know about that as well. All right, college basketball. And a few games tonight and a great card tomorrow. Bruce, a lot of the lines are trickling out as we speak. So if there's a matchup you're interested in, I can look up a line. We may have that for you. But who you got?
Well, tonight there's some, and some of these games are on the TV tonight. Out of the MAC, Akron, which has taken control of the MAC. This is a very short trip to Kent State. It's only about 15 minutes. These are the closest two together, even closer than Bowling Green and Toledo at the other side of the state. But Akron, John Groats has really done another nice job. They're in full flight. They've won 8 in a row to start the MAC season. What you like about Akron, balance and depth. He routinely runs 9 players in and out, so the rotation is deep there. He's got it figured out. They share the ball. Almost 19 assists per game. It's the top assist team in the MAC and one of the better assist teams in the country. So they've got the formula down. A couple of good guards, both named Johnson. Nate Johnson's really good. He's been very hot lately. And Kent State, this is not a vintage Kent State team. They're not bad, but they don't shoot. They're under 30% on threes. And you're getting a few points with Akron tonight. So I would definitely look at Akron tonight. In the Atlantic 10 tonight, here's a trend for you. Now, the St. Louis VCU game got a little weird right at the end the other night, and it got a little bit unnatural with all the scoring. But St. Louis had been a really big under team, under 9 straight, 11 or 12 into that game with VCU that just barely got over. So I might look under tonight, about 144.5 or so, 145 against Dayton.
Looking at
145, yeah. And I also might look at St. Louis here. This is Josh Schertz, who came over from Indiana State last year. He brought a couple of the guys with him from Indiana State, and that would include Avila, the center with the glasses.
Yeah.
I mean, he is there, and they inherited Jimerson's a really good guard. He inherited Swope, came over also from Indiana State. And Dayton is really flattened out here. That Dayton that we saw back in Maui, that Dayton has not been the same, certainly since New Year's. They've lost several games here in the A-10, and this is a very short price in St. Louis tonight, so I might look at St. Louis there, maybe an under. And in my favorite Metro Atlantic tonight, how about Iona? Tobin Anderson, remember him a couple of years ago? He was the guy at Fairleigh Dickinson when they made that run a couple of years ago in the dance. They're starting to play much better. They've won 3 in a row. DeJour Reeves, transfer from Northern Colorado, probably maybe the best player in this league. A very short price at Manhattan tonight, and that is a very short ride too. Just New Rochelle, just a bus ride down into the Bronx is actually where Manhattan is, believe it or not. But Manhattan has cooled off some lately too. Lost 3 or 5. I would give Iona a shot in that one. Those games tomorrow, SEC, a full slate. Wow, it is interesting. Of course, the late one is Calipari back to Kentucky. Kentucky could, that was a big win the other night for Kentucky. Get back on track. Listen, this isn't worked out the way Calipari wanted this year, and I'm seeing an early number, a little bit higher, like 12 and a half.
11 and a half currently right now at our DraftKings outlet. Max, see if the point guard's back for Kentucky. They had 2 guards, and one guy that played like 1 minute, and the other guy sat out completely in the win at Tennessee. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, and that was a big one there. But I think the bigger storyline here is Arkansas and how they've been struggling. They had that miracle comeback against Georgia, or they'd be sitting tied with South Carolina at the bottom here of the SEC. I think what Calipari erred this year, and he's already addressed this for next year. They've already lined up the recruits for next year, the Blue Chippers, but he relied on a lot of transfers coming in from Kentucky, and they weren't the top level guys at Kentucky either coming in here to Arkansas, and I think he just overestimated the talent on this squad, and it just ain't there to SEC levels. And Kentucky will be it'll be very emotional there tomorrow night with Calipari coming back, and I just don't want to take Arkansas at any spot. The other feature one is that early one, the Florida Tennessee. Really good. I'm seeing Tennessee about 3.5 here early.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, it looks about right. But Tennessee's it's not quite. I don't think they're quite as good as they were last year. And that was a really nice. Lanier was a really nice pickup out of the Atlantic Sun for Coach Barnes. But Connect really gave them something different last year. I mean, he was a real sharp edge. And they don't have that sort of guy this year. They're really good and they're tough, but they don't have that sort of super explosive edge that Connect gave them last year. And Florida's been very, very resilient here. They're on a nice little run again. This is a crucial game. Maybe Tennessee draws the line in the sand, but I would not lay points with Tennessee tomorrow. This might be a look at Florida for me.
Lamont Butler, the second leading scorer for Kentucky, considered questionable for now. We'll find out for sure later today. But on the Wednesday press conference, Mark Pope sort of suggested he would not be ready to play if the game was that day. So I would sort of lean towards no on Butler.
When did they play, Tuesday or Wednesday? They played Tuesday.
They played Tuesday, and then Wednesday after the fact, he said he wasn't ready still.
Yeah, that what was good the other night. They've moved. Jackson Robinson has kind of run the offense sort of,
right,
and he didn't look too bad the other night. And Butler, San Diego State is really good, but they've got some depth there to work with Mark Pope, and they seem to have figured that out pretty good. So they're better with Butler, but they're not bad with if Robinson's running the show, and I think that's more than what Arkansas's got now for sure.
Yeah, Bruce, Joe Lunardi has 13 of the 16 SEC teams in the tournament right now. The 3 that he does not are LSU, South Carolina, and Arkansas. Arkansas was preseason number 16. So that's the biggest surprise. I mean, this is they're talking about going sour quick at Arkansas. I got to think they're going to be in a rough spot tomorrow night in Rupp.
I agree. It just has not worked out this year. Like I said, I just think Coach Cal overestimated, his roster this year, and they got trouble scoring points. And in this league, there are so many potent offenses in this league, and you just got to, at some point, you got to be able to open up the doors there and just go after it. And they just don't have enough scorers to keep pace in some of these games. And Kentucky, we know, can score. So this could be a problem tomorrow night for Cal.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, all right, Brucey, we got it. Super Bowl's next week. Some props and things like that. I know the Westgate revealed their props. Is that still a big deal for some of the or because you're so much mobile outside the state as well that are available, some of these props, the unveiling of the prop sheets in the Westgate used to be sort of a big deal on Thursday evening.
It did, and it was a big deal. I remember, the Westgate when they were, Jay Cornegay's guys were really like sort of at the vanguard of this, and they'd meet for like two and a half days just figuring out all the props, and then that was a big. They sort of announced them on that Friday, and I think 9 days before that was like a big deal. But you're right, everybody sort of got these things now, and there's just so darn many of them. It's hard to sift through them, really.
It is tough. It is tough. Bruce, we appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week. Get your Super Bowl prediction and some of the props that you like.
Thanks, Jimmy. Have a good week.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just across the street from Mike Anderson's. Love going over to the Queen and watching the college basketball and on the way home. Love stopping down and seeing a few games on the way home and start off with that fresh guacamole. I like a little fresh jalapenos with it as well. A great margarita. They do all kinds of margaritas. A happy hour is outstanding, 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. And just a great spot. And you feel at home there, man. You know, Scott and Carl do a great job of running the place. Miss Blair behind the bar. Tell her we said to tell you hello over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's. Look at the week. Live at lunch. Live at Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Remind you that we are also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. Because when it comes to retirement, there are no two solutions alike and no two situations alike. So Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you, also your business partners, your legal team, tax professionals, to make sure that all your goals are achieved. Coastal Capital Advisors will work for you, and I know for sure, because they certainly work for me. For more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his great staff at 337-981-1376 or online at coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, LLC, doing business as Coastal Capital Advisors. Securities offered through New Age Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
But, I mean, you got something. I mean, they both suck. I mean, what do you got?
Yeah, no, just
give me some hope. I mean, come on, Max.
Bit of an update on the Saints. Diana Rossini from The Athletic,
yes.
reporting that no candidates have been told they're out of the running yet. There's some scuttlebutt that Kellen Moore may not want the job due to the fact that the Saints don't have a quarterback in place, but he may have come around to the job anyway.
Derek Carr's not in place?
Well, that's a good sign because I was sort of worried. Mickey Loomis did say that the new head coach would have, his sort of pick on whether Carr would be a long-term answer for them or not. So if Moore is not really sold that they have a quarterback, then maybe they would move on.
I mean, listen, Derek Carr is – I mean, you rather Daniel Jones? I mean, that's who was available. Charlie did a very good job of saying, hey, look, this is available, what you want. I mean, you ever seen a fan base for a guy that – why do they hate Derek Carr so much?
I think it's
he's
just
very average.
His personality. He's not the worst player in terms of production, but people just don't like his personality. They don't think he's a leader. They've seen some, of his body language, in rough stretches. And he just comes off as a fake, a phony. But that's just me. That's my understanding.
What? I mean, he oh man, I don't know. Is it kind of life after Breeze?
It is.
You know,
Whoever
that's got to be a part of it.
No doubt.
I mean, that has to be.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if this guy came before Breeze, he'd just be, you know, I mean, Aaron Brooks, I get it. His body language was atrocious. Okay, I mean, he looked like he didn't care when going off to, you know, loose balls. I mean, come off after he threw an interception laughing. Aaron Brooks is way worse body language and things like that than Derek Carr. Carr's got time. He throws a beautiful ball. He's not Drew Brees. Oh, okay, yeah, this just in. Yeah, he's not Drew Brees. I mean, but he's still kind of. If we want to rank the 32 quarterbacks that started the majority of the games, he's about 18, 20.
That's where I have him. Yeah.
I mean, average, mediocre.
But I guess with where you are,
pick your adjective. But I mean, there's so much worse.
I guess with where you are, you have the second worst odds to win the Super Bowl next year at 150 to 1. You'd rather just, you know, start over and try to find some quarterback who might have that higher ceiling than Carr has. But for what it's worth, if it's not Kellen Moore, I think the only options at this point, you might see Rizzi get the job if it's not Moore.
No way. I mean, Miss Gale will have. There's no way that there's embarrassment in the Max. There's 32 of these jobs, and I don't care how poor the conditions are. There is so much more out there than your failed interim special teams coach. I mean, hire Charles Hannegriff. I mean, really. I mean hire Mayo. There's no way Rizzo is getting that job. I mean, she is not that dumb. Period. She's not that dumb.
The players have advocated for. I'm just saying, if their backup plan to Kellen Moore, to me that would be the logical choice. I don't think it's Mike Kafka for the Giants.
Absolutely,
Anthony Weaver for
anybody. You cannot have Rizzo because that tells you nobody wanted the job, and there's some people it's one of 32 in the world. There's still some value to this job.
That's what Mickey said. One of 32. You know. Don't look at the results, We're 1 of 32. Somebody will want the job, right? Well.
No, I mean, and to that point, just on that, I don't care where the source, whether it's Mickey Loomis or, Bill Belichick. No, that is true. And there's some value to that.
It's true, but it's sad he has to admit that. Well, we're 1 of 32, so somebody will want our job.
Oh, no. Loomis can't win at this point.
Terrible press conference.
He can't win at this point. He needs to just stay away from the microphone and quit further damaging, further embarrassment, because with the track record, there's nothing that he can say that is going to appease anybody. It's only providing ammunition to light his ass up even more because he doesn't he has no PR finesse himself. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, he's arrogant. He insults his paying customers. I mean, and there is no general manager who could have his track record that still would remain in position. But the New Orleans Saints right now, and it's because of his relationship with Miss Gale and their families. It's just that simple, and everybody in the city knows it. It's no secret. But Miss Gale she's one of the greatest people I've ever come across. Her philanthropic ways. That was a miracle job that she pulled to reverse the legacy of Tom Benson. I mean, that was unbelievable that she steered him in that way. Like, man. Come on, man. Your days are no. She did it great. She's sharp in so many ways, but she's a poor owner because they're compromised. And you can't have an organization that's competitive that's compromised. It's just that simple. The Dallas Cowboys, when you have the owner's the GM and he's overseeing and he's going to hire coaches on certain conditions or reasons instead of just there's no reason the Dallas Cowboys should not have Bill Belichick as their coach. Absolutely none. Zero. But they're compromised, and he's going to do it. Belichick might go to it. Belichick's going to tell Jerry, shut the hell up.
And Belichick would have gotten some attention at that press conference.
But yes, he might get more of the limelight, of the attention than Jerry Jones did. That is a problem when the media goes to you for post-game comments. They're way more interested in what you have to say than he does. So, great businessman. I mean, he's turned them into a profit. They're still there, but winning on the field is compromised. And this is too competitive when you compromise your organization to be successful. It's just that simple. So Charlie, the greatest thing he's ever said, weak at the all-important position of ownership. This is the greatest thing ever.
Also in the offices on Airline, the NBA trade deadline approaching on Thursday. The Pelicans will make some sort of trade to get under the salary cap. That's a given. But it seems like Brandon Ingram, the talks are ramping up. The rumors right now have them. Brian Windhorst is saying the Hawks are very interested. Now, you'll remember they already traded with the Hawks last year, bringing in DeJounte Murray and, making that trade. There was thoughts that Brandon Ingram would be part of that deal. He was not. But they've lost Jalen Johnson, a very underrated wing player for them. So he might be fitting into them. The Hawks are kind of going backwards. They're 9th right now in the Eastern Conference. So there's a thought he might go there. Also, a rumor that Brandon Ingram might be headed towards Miami as part of a Jimmy Butler deal. I don't know what you think about that, Jimmy. Jimmy Butler right now, he always wants out of wherever he goes.
I need Orlando or the Hawks to win the division. So keep climbing up. And Miami's still in first place by half a game. So
yeah, they are 23-23 right now. But that they're doing it without Jimmy Butler. I don't know if you want an aging Jimmy Butler at this point. 35 years old, always wants out. Is he going to come to New Orleans and finish his career here?
Well, that's what he wants. I mean, Jimmy Butler's trying to make his last lick. I mean, he's 35. And, he's not that far removed from carrying those teams in the playoffs. I mean, he's not that far removed. Nondescript game in the Pelicans division last night, though, but a key game. Houston winning most of the game. And Memphis scrambles back to beat them by 1. They would have fallen 2.5 back. Remember, we did that podcast where I got Houston to win the division at plus 270. Pretty big bet. They're minus $3 to win the division with only a half-game lead. But that seems... So anyway, but Houston could have had 2.5. They're a fun young team. Tari Eason, big bucket last night. He's a major. He's on the game in the final stretches. So I mean, they have rotation. I'm not sure if he starts or not, but he is a main contributor. Of course, Jabari Smith Jr. from Auburn, but they're a fun. The G League guy Green. I mean, they're a fun group to watch, man.
Well coached.
Yes.
Whatever you think about Ime Udoka, he's a good coach. He's got him number 2 right now in the West, so no doubt. But we'll see.
Can LSU get him?
Yeah. I'm going to say he will not be the head coach next year. That's my guess.
You got some picks in college basketball? I do. You got some?
I'll get some.
All right, let's go.
All right, we'll start off with I've got nothing really tonight, but some Saturday games tomorrow.
Up against
Florida, Tennessee under 140.5.
Yes, I'm on the same page.
You like Tennessee, but I think it's under. This first game would have 73-43, so Tennessee couldn't score in the first game. Tennessee's going to not allow as many points, I think. They're going to really stifle Florida on the defensive end. 2 very good defensive teams in the conference. I like Auburn minus 5.5 against Ole Miss. It was a letdown spot maybe against LSU. They weren't very efficient on the road, struggled shooting a little bit, but I think Ole Miss, to me, I'm not quite sold on them there. Sure, it's going to be a raucous environment there in Oxford, but I think Auburn's just a better team. I'll lay 5.5 there. Another team that I'm going to lay on the road 5.5 points, Michigan State. This is one of the better teams they've had. In the modern NIL.
Don't say ever.
Not ever.
Lately.
In the NIL era, this is the best team that Izzo's had. So I think the Spartans can go on the road. USC, not to me the biggest team ever. And one I should have asked Bruce Marshall about. He's been on the fade Doug Gottlieb train with Green Bay. We don't have a line out yet for this, but Detroit Mercy is hosting Green Bay this week. They're not a very good team. They're 7-16 in their own right, which means you're going to have a smaller spread here. We're projecting about 7.5 for Detroit Mercy to be favored by. Green Bay has only covered against the biggest numbers, right? They just covered a 14.5-point spread, 15.5-point spread, 21. When they're catching a whole lot of points, they can cover the number. But 7.5, Green Bay's so bad, I'll fade Doug Gottlieb. I'll take Detroit Mercy, lay 7.5 at home.
Detroit Mercy minus 7.5. Michigan State minus 5.5 at USC. Auburn minus 5.5 at Ole Miss. Florida, Tennessee under. We're talking about 140. Boy, that thing is on a move down.
It is.
It is.
Might want to get on that now.
Yeah, that thing is already going down like 5 points. All right, when we come back, I like the card tomorrow. I really like the card tomorrow in college basketball. I have my college basketball picks when we return. We are live at Ruffino's, live at lunch. I made a mistake earlier. Restaurant week is good through Monday, February 3rd. So 3 courses for $60 tonight through Monday. Your choice of the 4 appetizers, the crispy calamari. 3 appetizers, crispy calamari, smoked pork belly, or lobster lobster ravioli. The 2 soups or salads, duck and andouille gumbo, the burrata salad, and the 3 entrees, the herb-crusted New Zealand lamb chops, fried speckled trout with the jumbo lump crab meat on top, or the oven-roasted prime rib. We're on the 3-course for $60 tier of Restaurant Week tonight through Monday here at Ruffino's. Live at Ruffino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, here we go. Let's start off with one of the hottest teams in college basketball. Man, that was a great game on Wednesday night in the Catholic League, the Big East. Creighton took care of Xavier the other night and covered the number. Now they're on the road in Philadelphia against Villanova, laying 1.5, buy it to 1. The Blue Jays, they are on fire as of late. After a kind of a sketchy beginning to their season, we got Creighton -1 minus some juice there. South Carolina against at home in this one. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my who South Carolina got against? Oh my God.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Texas A&M pulled it out the other night. They pulled it out on the road. Now they are laying. It's up to 6.5 right now as we speak. Buy it to 7. Gamecocks are 0-8 in the league. They last 2 games at home have been heartbreakers. This time they get over the hump. I'm considering the money line as well as plus $2. So South Carolina led the whole way until the end against Florida. They lost in overtime to Mississippi State. Those teams are as good, if not better, than Texas A&M. I think this is the spot. They still got some support there. South Carolina plus the 6.5. I'm against you on this one, Max. I'm taking Ole Miss at home plus 5.5. Chris Beard certainly have his team. Boy, talk about some heavyweights going at it. Chris Beard and Bruce Pearl at home at the Pavilion plus 5.5. That's a lot. Give me Ole Miss plus the 5.5. The last 2 games, Auburn hasn't looked great. I mean, they 53-51 in an ugly rock fight against Tennessee last Saturday night on prime time. Then they come to Baton Rouge, and it took 20 turnovers and 24 offensive rebounds to barely cover by the half. Depending on where you were, there was at one point you could have got 13.5. It fell right on the line movement. But I don't know. Ole Miss plus 5.5 at home. LSU was within single digits with those gross numbers on the offensive glass and turning the ball over. Hotty toddy. Gosh almighty, give me Ole Miss plus the 5.5. We're on the same page here. Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee loses at home against Kentucky. They've lost now 2 in a row, and everybody is down on them. Everybody's down on their inability to score offensively. And, they also are coming with a huge revenge spot here. They were embarrassed, got beat by 40 or so down in Gainesville. I think it was the biggest, the worst beating a number 1 team has ever had. And so, just embarrassing. Florida did not let up in that game. Now Tennessee, embarrassed, revenge spot, low spot. What are they going to do? What do they do best? Well, I don't know if they're going to light it up from 3 all of a sudden, but I know they're going to defend their asses off. Tennessee, and so under 141.5 right now. Florida, Tennessee, under. Another home dog in the home team in college basketball in the SEC. Mississippi State at home. So Mississippi State, Missouri, 5 points for home court advantage. Man, they lost a tough one. Alabama's so tough on the road. I talked about it earlier in the week. Their style of play, Bama seems to put them more at ease. More, they're familiar exactly what they need to do. They win a tough one on the road at the Hump on Wednesday night. The kid on the breakaway with under 20 seconds to go down 1. He gets a shot blocked when he could have stuffed it for the dunk. And Mississippi State never controlled. They would have been up with less than 20 seconds to go. I think State bounces back here, minus the 5.5 against Missouri. I think their teams are close. I like State a little bit better. They need to win a game at home after losing on Wednesday night. And then a 10 a.m. local tip in Tempe, Arizona and Arizona State. Bobby Hurley's crew, They last Saturday, they were winning by 1 against Iowa State, catching double digits. Now they're catching 6.5 at home in a rivalry game. 10 a.m. start probably favors the home team a little bit. That's a lot of points. Rivalry game at home, plus 6.5. Give me Arizona State. So here we go. A little six-pack for you on this Friday. Creighton, and listen, all of these numbers, all of them, are in a half right now. Buy them to the whole point, whether they're pitching or catching. So Creighton, -1. South Carolina, +7. Ole Miss, +6. State, -5. And Arizona State, +7. So those are various mobile sports books that you can get the numbers, the best available number on those. So we remind everybody, our friends downtown Baton Rouge, our friends at Jolie Pearl and Town Square Pizza, great place to play. You got the weekend brunch available at Jolie Pearl and the piping hot fresh pizza coming out from Town Square Pizza. So where you staying in downtown for the weekend, hey, make Jolie Pearl a stop. It's within 5-minute walk of all the major hotels downtown. Jolie Pearl, we're pretty shucking good. And Town Square Pizza, Baton Rouge's best new pizzeria in town. Really good stuff downtown on North Street facing Town Square. Live at lunch, live at Ruffino's. We'll come back and wrap things up on this Friday edition. Charlie will be back on Monday. Monday we'll be over at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Let me make sure about that as I go see our buddy Mr. Ryder and his great staff across the river. Max's Cornhole Hangout. So we'll get that straight. How was it? Did you go across the river for the snow? And you couldn't cross?
I couldn't cross. The bridge was shut down. Eventually, I made it over when the bridge opened just to kind of see some things.
I'm sorry. We'll be there in a week. We're at the Queen. As we shift from Sunday to Monday, we'll be at the Queen Sportsbook, the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll be there tomorrow. You can book that as well. So next Monday, we'll be at the Queen. Live at a week, live at lunch, live at Ruffino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up. Let's go to Pebble first. We got any of our golfers in contention, Max?
Sort of in the mix right now. There's a lot of guys. It's pretty wide open. A lot of birdies to be had yesterday and today. Sepp Straka currently has the lead. Already has a win this season, but he's currently has a one-shot lead at 10 under par. He's 3 under through 5 holes today at Pebble Beach. The few guys we have in the mix, I had Nick Taylor. He's 7 under 3 back. And also Wes Reynolds gave out Patrick Cantlay, who is 7 under. He's through 7 holes today at Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach playing a little bit easier than Spyglass Hill. It'll be the last day. They play 2 courses. They'll play Pebble both Saturday and Sunday. The whole field will. And then Justin Thomas just got his round started, one of our sort of consensus picks we had. Not an exact consensus, but me and Wes both liked him in some capacity. He is 6 under 4 back to start his round.
JT? And what about Morikawa?
Morikawa, good start today, 2 under through 4, so he's 5 under. He kind of tailed on the back 9 yesterday.
Pendrith was 5 under yesterday?
Yeah, he just got his round started as well. So 5 back, it might sound like a lot, but it's a bunch right now. When there's so many birdies, it's hard to really separate yourself from the field. It's going to have to happen over 4 rounds, and we'll see maybe the wind conditions pick up a little bit tomorrow and Sunday. So the weekend might see a little bit harder scoring than what we're seeing in the first 2 days, with especially the amateurs. They will not participate on Sunday. It's a pro-am, so I would expect a harder setup as well on Sunday.
So Straka is your leader right now at 10 under, 3 under today through 5. Your boy Spieth gives up a stroke right out the chute. He's not going to be. Tony Finau, huh? Right there within striking range. Where's our boy Knapp? What happened to Knapp? He
just got started. He's even today, 7 under, still 3 back.
Okay, through 4 holes.
Through 4 holes today.
Okay, well you got to score, bro. Sam Burns 6 under.
Yeah, you've got he's one of 21 players right now within 4 shots of lead. So just to kind of give you an idea, there's very little separation at this point.
Yeah. Last night again, I forget exactly what it was, but it was maybe the first. It's the first SEC women's basketball game. Was the first LSU women's basketball game, or the first women's basketball game period that both teams in regulation scored triple digits. 107 to 100, no overtimes. And it was, you talk about LSU with their kind of lack of depth in, talk about South Carolina, and that's where the big advantage, and that's been for the past few seasons as well. But Caleb Williams, Floje, and Morrow combined for 83 points. You score 83 in a game, that's good enough, but they combined for 83 points. I mean, that's unbelievable, huh? 37 for Williams, Floje with 25, and Morrow 21. Of course, she gets her double-digit rebounds as 12. But a really exciting game. LSU led by about as much as 18 or so. Oklahoma storms back, gets it down to 1 with about a minute 20, something like that. And then LSU scores the final 6 points of the game. A key 3 on that first possession by Williams, a steal and run out for a layup, and then they tack on 1 of 2 free throws. Put it over the number, -6.
Perfect.
So,
they were so efficient. I mentioned from 3. I mean, it was Michaela Williams who had most of those, obviously.
Would you see? Do you have the box score with a shot? Because the one I'm showing just shows the point totals individually.
Yeah.
What percentage?
Yeah.
That Williams shot. What did she shoot?
She was 12 of 20.
12 for 20.
And
from
like
3,
7 of 12 from beyond the arc. So, I mean, that was where most of their
12. What was LSU
from
3 for the game?
46%.
Damn.
And then 23 of 32 from the free throw line. So they always are going to get to the line, but efficient from the floor as well.
Kenny White gave out the LSU Tigers last night in that one. Colucci split. He had a lead. Minnesota wins easy, plus $1.24. Dog there, 4-0 over the Montreal Canadiens. He did lose. Anaheim had a lead, 1-0 after the first period, but they lose in that one. So he split out, but profits a little bit with the plus money on that one. So come out, see us at the Queen. We'll be hanging out this weekend to watch the games, and kind of this bye week in the NFL, the bye week, and they have a little skills competition, things like that. Joe Burrow making some headlines. A lot of people talking about what he had to say. He's calling for the organization to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Just kind of really, is there something wrong with, should he, this is his employer, this is his organization, and does he have to publicly plea and put pressure publicly on the organization to pay his guys?
Well, I don't know that they're going to get – I don't think it's reasonable that they're going to sign both of them. I think it's just so hard to invest so much into 3 players, so much of your salary cap. But Chase should have been paid already. They've actually hurt themselves by waiting this long because his value's gone up because he was incredible this year. But I think they're going to have to let Higgins walk. I would be surprised, although he wants them to get both. I think it's going to be a hard ask for them to have all 3 of them.
Don't forget, again, Restaurant Week. We are participating here at Ruffino's this year. 3-course for $60 tier. Your choice of the 3 appetizers, a crispy calamari, smoked pork belly, or a lobster ravioli. Choice of a super salad, the duck and andouille gumbo, or the burrata salad. And 3 different entrees to choose from. The herb-crusted New Zealand lamb chops, the fried speckled trout topped with the lumbo cramp meat, or the oven-roasted prime rib. That is good tonight through Monday night in February 3rd here at Ruffino's. We are going to be at the Queen on Monday, recapping all of the college basketball action, some golf, and some other stuff as well over at the Queen Casino in the DraftKings Sportsbook for the Monday show. Charlie will be back as well to show off his picture with the big catch, the fish. Hunt's next right here, live at lunch, live at Ruffino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.